Hello, blessed soul family. I'm the magical medium, and welcome to the spiritual guidance channel. Today, we are working with the full moon in Sagittarius. And as many of you know, I am a triple Sag, and my moon's in Scorpio. And also, I have been researching my chart more. And I mean, I knew I had a lot of Sag in my chart, but it was interesting to find out even more. So I urge you to get more into your chart, into astrology. Maybe for some of you, that's where the money is. You're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I just know I'm supposed to do something with spirit. I've also been hearing Akashic Record for some of you. If you are someone who loves numbers or bookkeeping, I knew this beautiful, beautiful goddess who was like a whiz accountant, man, like could like do accounting in her sleep. And I was like, man, that's like amazing. And I remember thinking a few years ago, I'm like, I bet she has something to do with the Akashic Record. Anyway, so if you have been feeling, especially around this energy right now, because whenever you watch this, they're timeless, but in real time, we are inching up to the full moon, to the apex, to the brightest, biggest, part of it. And interestingly enough, I was really excited to do this reading for you guys tonight. I thought for sure, I thought for sure it's going to be at its pinnacle at 8:42 p.m. Last night, you should have seen the moonrise by my house. Well, maybe you have by now, because I know they had me do a short, so I'll probably post that soon. But by the time you see this, it's probably posted already. But anyway, I really realized just how much that energy is influencing me, especially because Mercury is in Sagittarius for me. And it just made so much sense about like myself and how I communicate. And, because Mercury is the, planet of communication. And it was so interesting. So anyway, I don't have much time today. Spirit is limiting me. I, again, have plenty of, cleaned out my phone enough to do a nice session for you guys. But I will tell you this, that the deck to your right, the Island Time Wellness Love Oracle deck, I am going to be doing a more intensive pick a reading with that sometime this week. I thought that was going to be today. It is not, but it makes sense because I have been off the charts today. I've been hysterically crying. I've been in a good mood. And I'm like, yes. And my husband's a triple Gemini. So when I started to research, I like to research a little bit before a session with spirit to find out like what the messages are. I was going in a completely different direction, and all of a sudden I was really forced in a cool way to look at the mutable signs, and how right now, talk about apex, interesting, like cool moments, whatever. This is where astrology comes in. How interesting is it that we are in this strawberry moon, and strawberries are all about vitality and fruition, things coming to fruition, vitality, like, because Sagittarius is, they're fire. I know I am one, right? Like, so if you know, right? There's a lot of wonderful things, but also we have our dark side too, right? Like, we can be very, gluttonous and greedy, but in a cool way. And I say that, and I say that, but also I have to remember that I am sign of the boar, and that's part of my little piggy. So it could be that's just me. I guess I didn't really know, but no, now that I think about it, all my Sagittarius people, and gluttony doesn't have to be a bad word, right? It's on the way you use it and look at it. It's like you can, it's just basically overdoing something. And Sagittarius can be like overdoers, overachievers, like let's go. Also, the mutable signs are Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Taurus. And think about that for a minute. We're in the full moon in Sagittarius. Ooh, when I look down, it's 4:20. Smoke them if you got them. We're in the full moon in Sagittarius, and but we are in a Taurus moon because this new moon began in Taurus energy, and we are in Gemini season. So 3 of the mutable signs are occurring right now. Look at that. I don't even have a window open. I mean, excuse me, no, I do have a window open, but nowhere near this flame. So when it flickers like that, I feel like that's spirit, you know. But you can see outside that there's like some wind coming through, and I'm just feeling this powerful magic of the mutable signs. You know, Gemini is air, Sagittarius is fire, Pisces is water, and Taurus is earth. So, you know, you may have some energy. We were thinking about that, and my partner and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, there's so much stuff happening right now. And I had a major meltdown earlier, like major, like crying, like really sad. And I just went back to some old stuff. And then all of a sudden, Spirit led me to this article. I urge you, I honestly, I hardly ever ask you guys to do anything for me. But if you're interested, please read this article from the New York Post. It was so interesting. It gave me so much insight. I felt like every little blurb gave me something else, something different about what's happening right now. So even if you watch this later, sometimes I actually like that. I think that's why I wasn't so into astrology, because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to know what's going to happen. Like, I just want to go with the flow of life. And I think that's why they're not having me study it more intensely. But I am being urged to kind of learn astrology through my own map of my life. And recently, something had come into my orbit about somebody who was living really close to their chart, and I thought that's really interesting, and I think it's insightful, but I think it also can be kind of dangerous, because you know, and I'm not judging anyone or anything. I'm just telling you from my own personal, like, how it hit with me when I heard about it. I was like, that's interesting. I think that there's something about that. There's something to that we don't want to investigate so far and like dissect ourselves that we don't enjoy the journey of learning about ourselves while we're here. With that being said, have you guys been looking at the, I mean, honestly, I don't know if you guys see what I see, but do you see this face? There's so many faces going on. There's so many faces going on. It's unbelievable. Also, we have the turkey feather. So I want you guys to work with the turkey spirit animal. Now, again, these are always like whatever feels right to you. But I'm going to tell you, we're going to read a little bit about the turkey today. But that and the hawk. And this is just representative of just the hawk spirit in general, not one specific hawk. Okay, so work with hawk spirit medicine, work with turkey spirit medicine. I'm actually going to pull them to the side so that I not forget, but like so that I keep in that kind of energy, because I feel like that's what spirit wants. Also, I'm feeling like I want to get a little more intimate with you guys. Going a little bit closer. Hold on. Okay, yeah, that feels nice. That feels good. Yeah, I don't know about the Island Time Wellness right now. Let's see if they want me to pull any cards. And for all I know, they're having me pull the cards that are going to be for the readings, you know, and then it's going to be like, this is the vibe I'm getting, that we're going to pull cards and that each one is going to be a reading now, but then we're going to do pick a reading that's going to go more in depth. So like if you really had some, you know, maybe you have some hits on this or something like hits you, you know, right in that where you're like, oh shit, you know, I probably, you know, need some more information. It's going to be something like that. Okay. So we have the coffee cup, and the coffee cup says, oops, there we go. Meeting and conversing, savoring the moment, feeling uplifted, and friendship. Oh, that's cute. That's nice. So let's put the coffee cup there for now. Let's see if they want to have us pull any more right now. Because if they didn't want me to if I wasn't meant to pull any at all, they wouldn't let me even like pull the cards apart. That's how I always know. But we have a lot to talk about. Okay, so they want them in this order. Cool. Okay, and this is on the bottom, and I'm getting this vibe that this bottom one is like a bonus reading. So that's exciting. Okay. So the next one is boat. Ooh, it's two together. Okay, interesting. This is so cool. These might be individual readings. I don't know how they're going to do it. Okay, boat. Receiving what you need, progression, arriving, moving on, and closure issues. Okay. Thank you, moon painting. And then this one was in reverse. Oh no, I think the boat was in reverse. So separation. The next one is separation. Sadness, missing you, thinking about you, yearning, unsure of future. And remember that all of these things are like almost like separate readings on each card, which is why I think they're probably going to have me do more in-depth reading with these. You know what I mean? Okay, and then these two came together too, almost like they were, ooh. My one friend, he's being, girl. Okay, seriously. Addiction and stabbed in the back. Whoo! Codependent, obsession, possession, controlling, has a block, restraint, and then stabbed in the back. Heartbreak, pain, separation, deception, shocking attack. Okay, wow. Okay. Whoa. And I feel like these are over here with the separation. Interesting. I'm going to marinate on that for a minute. I also feel like this wants to come here, like almost like the moon doesn't want to. Ooh, okay. So I see what's going on. They had me move it over because right when I pulled the separation card over, I didn't even like, it's like the boat didn't exist. All I saw was receiving what you need. So I'm hearing for some of you, like the separation is what you need right now. Like I just got the chills all over my body. Like you're receiving what you need right now. I'm feeling a lot of tears. I'm not joking. Like I almost called this whole reading off. I was like crying. I'm like, what is going on with me? I felt nuts. I really did. And then Spirit called me to read from this awesome book called The Magical Household. Thank you, Anna. I know the moon's from Anna. I'm like, there's so many things that I look around now that I'm like, so from so many of you guys, thank you so much for all your donations and your contributions. And it really does make a huge difference. And thank you. You know who you are. I already thanked you personally, but thank you for the recent donation. It really, really is, it helps my family so much. Thank you. All that information is in the About section. And if you want to book one-on-one time with me, you can. You just email me, magicalmedium@gmail.com. It's in my About section. Okay. So moving forward, this magical household, spells and rituals for the home. I opened up to page 22, and 22 has been coming around a lot lately, not just for me, but like other people I know. So very interesting. So I don't know if 22 is coming up for you as well. So I'm hearing 22, and they're having me change this a little bit. Okay. 22 and maybe 2202, or, you know, that kind of, but basically the twos have it. There's something going on there. And so I was drawn to read you this. Okay. Now it's talking about rugs in this chapter. Okay. It's talking about studying, rugs, and how a handmade rug, like what makes it, so special and different, blah, blah, blah. And then it said, there is another reason for such quote unquote flaws. In earlier times, anything nearing perfection invited envy and courted disaster from the gods, who didn't care for human perfection. Jealous looks or even open admiration could land the dreaded evil eye on the rug. This evil eye, a look supposedly able to transfer negative energies between the viewer and the object or person viewed, was so feared that nothing was made precisely to the pattern. Isn't that fucking interesting? Right? Because think about how people out in the world, when I'm looking for rugs, for a perfect example, I try to get, heirloom rugs, or I try to get rugs from, I know that they were, individually handmade and not mass produced. I never understood why. I didn't really like that, but then it made so much sense to me, right? Because you're at somebody's house and you're like, oh, I want that. Oh, that looks really nice. I want that in my house. Oh, it's so perfect. I love that, right? But the most beautiful part of life is the imperfections. You don't look at a tree, or a tree doesn't look at itself and be like, oh, look it, I'm not perfect. Look, I mean, every leaf on a tree is different. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to go out in nature after you watch this, even if it's nighttime. Go out with your phone, and your flashlight. Who cares if your neighbors think you're, losing it? Who cares? Go out there and look at the leaves and look at how different they are. Even if they're perfect, one's going to be a little different, right? There's something really, really cool about that. So this envy, this coveting, this, I blew my lid today. I went nuts and I didn't realize what was happening, but now I'm understanding. I even said to Alder, I'm like, you need to go so I can do this reading, because I feel like once I do this reading, I'm going to understand what's happening. And I do understand. What I understand is it's the imperfections that make us beautiful and make us perfect. And trying to smell like somebody, look like somebody, act like somebody, have the same thing they have is weird. In my opinion, they call us the weirdos, but to me, I think that's weird. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I went to a funeral for a family member, went to another family member's home and used the restroom, hadn't been in there in years. And all of a sudden I looked up and I just started laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, how funny. My sister has that exact same picture and frame. And when I came out, I said, to my family member, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. I'm like, and I called out, I don't even know if I said anything to my sister. I don't think my sister was there at that time. And I just said, oh, you have the same picture, as my sister. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. She's like, I got it at Target. And I was like, yeah, that's about right. Because my sister lives at Target, and everything she gets, not everything, but a lot of things she got at that time. I don't know her really anymore. She got a lot of her stuff at Target, as most people do, right? Like they just, not, and people will say, I don't want, that I don't want just a painting. Like I just want to go into a store and pick things out. And it's just interesting. And that's why I started to notice like all of these things about myself and my family and the ancestors, and like why we have these connections to each other. And, and so when I read this, I just thought that was so powerful. It says there are a few magical practices concerning rugs that you can follow. And it says, for example, if you're low on money and luck, try tucking a bit of dried Irish moss, seaweed, in quotes, it's like old seaweed, under your rugs. This may perk up your financial scene. Then it goes through all these spells and stuff. But anyway, so you may want to research that more if you want to. This is an awesome book. Thank you, Anna. Honestly, Anna gives me so many pearls. So it's The Magical Household. If you want to take a screenshot, I highly recommend it. It's just cute. And I like Scott Cunningham. I like his books. I like his teachings. Some people are like, oh, he's a sellout, or, oh, he's just trying to make money. And I was like, whatever. You know what? I enjoy every single book that he's done in different ways. And some stuff is repeat. But I think it's because not everybody's going to buy every one of his books. And maybe he feels, maybe when he was writing the book, he felt like that needed to happen. So I'm like, you can hear my little, I like him. So whatever. He doesn't need me to defend him. But anyway, so very interesting. So I'm asking Spirit because, yes, they said this is good. So the next thing we're going to talk about, and we're going to get back and come back and forth to these. And like I said, we're going to go way more in depth, with these. We are going to go way more in depth with these, with a pick a reading. That's why I was really surprised, because I saw it as like a 6-7 hour day. And when I do these in-depth readings like this, that's literally like, sometimes it takes me 8 or 9 hours if I take longer breaks in between, but it's good. I mean, I like them. They're so fun. They're so interesting. They're so intense. So I don't know if we're going to have 6 readings, 4 readings, 5 readings, if all of these are going to go into 2, you know what I mean? So stay tuned for that. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff, comment. So, put a little bell on so that you know when the new stuff is coming through. But yeah, that's going to be an important reading, very important reading. And I don't know if it's going to be in the waning gibbous energy, because right now we're in the full moon energy of celebrations and blessings, but also we're in the release. So if you've been feeling crying and sad and stuff like that, that's okay. That's like perfectly normal. If you've been feeling ungrounded and untethered, that makes sense too. We're in Gemini. It's like we're dealing with air, fire, and earth, with the Taurus and the Gemini and the Sagittarius energy. So allow yourself to be where it needs to be. This article, the one thing I loved about it is it said something like, or maybe it was in the Mutable Signs article. I'll try and find both of them, and I'll put them in the comments below. I'll pin them in the comments for you. But honestly, like, both of them had so many, I had so many aha moments about where my energy's been. And if you're an empath and a sensitive like I am, it would make sense that you're feeling that way. Also, they want this here. So if you're interested, they don't want you to see the other one. It's going to be some type of, it's either going to be a bonus message in one of the readings, or it's just going to be a bonus message. I don't know. And I don't know if they're going to show these so you can remember, or if they're going to be turned over, So, because sometimes we read into more of a message that actually needs to be there, if that makes sense. When I looked down, it was 1858, and then it's like I didn't see 59 and I saw 19. So I don't know if those numbers mean anything to you. So the strawberry, let's get back to the strawberry, about fruition and vitality. So I looked in my other Scott Cunningham book, which I love, which is the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. And since we are in the spring and fall for our northern and southern hemisphere family, I'm getting the vibe. Right when I looked down, I saw sunflower. Yes, right? Because if you're in fall, that's like more sunflower territory. Work with the sunflower. I'm not gonna read it, but if that like came to you, like like touched you or you felt something, work with it, because this sunflower, it's sun, it's fire, it's it's about wishes and health and wisdom and fertility. Actually, that's all they're gonna have me say about that. But it's in the marigold family. I didn't know that. Interesting. So work with sunflowers and work with strawberry, and you just look up like spiritual meaning, or maybe you'll see them, and go to a farmer's market and go get yourself some organic strawberries and sit with the delicious strawberries and enjoy. um and then, okay, so strawberry, oh, okay, I hear your spirit. Okay, so the sunflower is masculine also. They wanted me to say that. So on the opposite of that, the strawberry is feminine. The planet is Venus. The element is water. The deity is Freya. The powers are love and luck. And the magical uses, it says strawberries are served as a love food and the leaves are carried for luck. Pregnant women may wish to carry a small packet of strawberry leaves to ease their pregnancy pains. That's so interesting. Okay. So, that's all they wanted me to say about that. Oh, sorry, I was having my own thing because now I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. I got this vibe from spirit that like Alder was meant to go to the farmer's market today, and like our one place, like they really love strawberries, and I'm like, I bet they had a ton of strawberries, but they're probably gone now. But I didn't understand what they were saying, and I just was like, no, I was just, it really, between the two of us, him being a triple Gemini, his moon's in Sagittarius, I'm a triple Sag, and my moon's in Scorpio. We have been like all over the planet. Ugh, I'm so glad that like we had our anniversary and his birthday and everything, because I'm in the last few weeks, because today's one of those days where I feel like ashamed of myself. And I know that sounds awful because I never even think that way. I love myself, but it was like this old, like this old addiction, this old habit. I was just feeling really insecure, and I was like, who am I? Like, I don't feel like I'm that person anymore, but clearly she was still in there. And then all of a sudden I just like blurted out something to him, and it was like a dagger through his heart. And I haven't seen him that emotional that instantly in a really long time. And it was me just telling him how I felt. But I knew, after everything we've been through over the last few weeks in Loverville, I knew that it was like gonna like make him sad. I had no idea what to have that effect on him. And that's when I really realized how much he did love me, and that he was like sad that I'm still feeling like something's gonna happen, because I'm afraid of him. I said that to him. I'm just gonna say it. I'm afraid of you. And he just like he just like welled up with tears, and I started crying so hard. And I said, yeah, I go, like, I trust you. I go, in one end, I totally trust you. I go, in the other end, because something that has been going on recently where, you know, I'm going to just share something personal with you, but basically he's been spending a lot of time with his cousin whom he loves. And I know that they have a really strong bond. They both have, the native side. He's connected to him through his native side, and we're up here where his family's from, like his cousin's from here. And he's just had so many wonderful times with him and working with the plant medicine together. They have these great talks, and it's been really life-changing for him. However, his cousin used to live in a house with a bunch of guys, and he was needing more of like, well, I was like, what is that? He was needing more of the feminine divine energy, and just needed to be more like, not in where he was. So long story short, he moved into this house, and it's like a whole property that's like on a river. It's really beautiful. I haven't been there, but the way they describe it, it sounds really lovely. And he's living in the house, but they have like land, and people live on the land, and there's like a tiny home, and it's like kind of like a cool little community, but there's men and women. And so he was like telling me something, and he had told me about this story when they hung out the other day. And then today I was like, oh, I'm going to do this reading. I'm like, I feel like we're supposed to do this, and this is supposed to happen. And then you come back and we're going to hang out and everything's going to be lovely, blah, blah, blah. And then he said something about her, and I go, what? It was like the, needle went across the record. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because, Alder had a sex addiction, and he's spent years working on it. And it's a long story. If you want to know my life, there's tons of stuff on Lula's life. I talk about stuff like that all the time. And I do trust him, and I do believe him. However, it was like something today. It was like, I heard that, and I was like, I thought it was a guy. He's like, no, I told you. And I go, you said his roommate. He goes, yeah, his roommate. He's got a lot of roommates. And I was like, but I was like instantly like, oh, you didn't tell me it was a girl. you know? And I was like, is she cute? Is she attractive? And I'm like, also, I'm like, who am I? I'm like, what is happening? And it was like this old version of me. And I just lost it. And I started crying. And I was like, is that why you want to go back over there today? And he's like, no, no, no. Like his cousin owes him, you know, some money. And he was just like, no, I was just going to go pick up. I was just like, I'll go pick up money from George. Like, it's no big deal. He was just like, I can see like to him, it was like nothing. But to me, I had built this whole story and scenario in my head. And it's like, do I trust him or do I not trust him? Because he stabbed me in the back. Heartbreak, pain, separation, deception, shocking attack. We had 8 years of up and down and up and down. Yesterday, I saw this article about Natalie Portman and her husband, and she was talking about his infidelity and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it was really tough. Like, it was really tough to read that and then like that. And so it's like there's this darkness that, you know, and I realized because this triple Sag this is a cleansing for all of it. It's to, you know, well, I'm a triple Sag, but like the Sag energy, the full moon, it's to burn away all that shit, all those lies and deception that we tell ourselves, right? Codependency, obsession, possession, controlling, has a block, restraint, that's under addiction. So like what addictions, like what's happening, like what is tethering you? Do you see how they have like something's tethering them? You know, and then my eyes keep coming over the coffee cup, meeting and conversing, savoring the moment, feeling uplifted friendship. We talked it out. And the old version of us, we probably wouldn't have talked it out, you know, but we talked it out and I felt better. And he just was like, I love you. Like, I promise, like, you know, like, well, he didn't say I promise, but like his energy was like, you know, that, like, my love, like, please, you know, but it was hurting him that I was hurting like that and that he knows he did that, right? Like, I mean, only I can cry and hurt myself, but like, I allowed that in my life. And the boat is receiving what you need, progression, arriving, moving on, and closure issues. So, you know, and we had to have many separations. We broke up many, many times. We lived like one time, I think the longest we were apart was 6 weeks. And we were on a break, so to speak, you know, as they say in Friends. And it says sadness, missing you, thinking about you, yearning, unsure of future. And that's what we had to. We had to keep breaking up so that we can find our way back to each other. But we had to go through it, and we had to go through many moon cycles, you know, many things. And maybe this is what Spirit's saying. And this doesn't have to be a love relationship, you guys. This could be any relationship. Insert your story. I try to limit my own personal stories these days to Lula's life. But I will say this. With these mutable signs all ruling around this moon today, mutable signs are about endings. It's an ending energy. They're adaptable. Mutable signs, you know, it's about going with the flow of it. That is awesome. It's good to be able to go with the flow and be easy breezy. But on the dark side of that, right, it's flaky, right? We could be flaky and non-committal. And Alder and I were both flaky and non-committal. It was my Scorpio that actually like keeps my moon in Scorpio that keeps my emotions and, you know, in check. Because my Sag would just be like out the fucking door. She'd be on to the next thing, on the next person. I mean, I've been engaged 5 times and married twice, you know. I'm 51, you know. So oh, they said now I can turn it over because this is going to go in for some of you. Okay, so engagement ring, engagement, partnership, commitment, eternity, completion, and union. And they're saying you cannot have that if all of these things are, you know, for those of you, and even if it's not a romantic love relationship, what I'm getting from that is it's just about the commitment, you know. So maybe if it's like a business person or a family member or somebody who can't, maybe they can't commit to treating you kindly. Maybe they're like, oh, I can't help it. You know, I watched this movie recently where the one brother kept, you know, messing with the other brother and calling him a name. And he's like, stop calling me that. And he's like, what? He's like, but that's who you are. And he's like, no, actually, it's not. He's like, you know, you gave me that name. And he's like, oh, come on, you know, Shorty or whatever it was. And he was like, and then he finally like, you know, by the end of the trip, and that was like the whole point of the story, right? By the end of the trip, they had finally like, you know, found their footing together, and the other family member, you know, was like, I'm sorry, you're right, I should be, you know, kinder, and you're my brother and I love you, and you know, so sometimes we just have to put our foot down, but sometimes not everybody's going to listen. So listen, here, speaking of, from the hawk, speaking of messenger, which, you know, Geminis are about communication. And, there's something here, right, that Spirit's trying to talk to all of us. The hawk says, messenger of the sky, circle my dreams and teach me the message as we fly. Hawk is akin to Mercury. Right? The messenger of the gods. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury. That is their ruling planet, right? So that's why, like, whenever Mercury's in retrograde, my husband tends to do really well because he's a triple Gemini, triple Mercury. So if he goes with the flow of it and like goes and he's mutable, right? Like he's adaptable with the changes, he's fine. Because that's what mutable is. It's about going with the good with change, going with it. About the other thing that's great about mutable signs is they're solution orientated and spontaneous. So it says hawk medicine teaches you to be observant, to look at your surroundings. Observe the obvious in everything that you do. Life is sending you signals. Life is the initiation, right? Life is the initiation. So let's go to Turkey. Oh, when I looked down, it was 3029, then 3030. So I love that when I looked down, it was 3033, and Turkey is number 31. That's so interesting. And Hawk was number 2. Remember we were talking about the 222. So there's something linked there, okay? So 31, which is also number 4, which is about balance. And Turkey, it says, ho, brother Turkey, so freely you give of everything that you are, so others may truly live. The giveaway. But turkeys are about balance. And it says turkey is actually thought to be the giveaway eagle or south eagle of many native peoples. The philosophy of giveaway was practiced by many tribes. Simply stated, it is the deep and abiding recognition of the sacrifices of both self and others. People in modern day society who have many times more than they need should study the noble turkey who sacrifices itself so that we may live. In turkey's death, we have our life. Honor the turkey. Spectators unfamiliar with the cultural phenomenon of the potlatch or giveaway ceremony are often mystified by it. A tribal member may gladly give away all he or she owns and do without in order to help the people. In present-day urban life, we are taught to acquire and get ahead. The person with the most toys wins the game, right? In some cultures, no one can win the game unless the whole of the people's needs are met. A person who claims more than his or her share is looked upon as selfish or crazy or both. The poor, the aged, and the feeble have honor. The person who gives away the most and carries the burdens of the people is one of the most respected. So also with that, there's balance. If you give too much of yourself, if you're giving too much of the relationship or the balance of, even of yourself, like maybe you've gone to the other side, right? Like you're self-indulging a little too much, and Spirit's like, work with the moonstone with that, because you want to learn energy. Work with a moonstone. It'll teach you. I'll tell you, just touching a moonstone, it will show you everything. Yeah, work with moonstone. If not, just study the moonstone energy and work with it. It's very powerful. Also the pyrite. I felt like these two kind of like stuck out. There's a Lemurian sticking out back here and a little quartz, and we've got a nice beautiful rock from the Olympic Peninsula. So we've got a little bit of almost like earth, air, fire, water in this right now, because right, we've got like the fiery of the sparkle, the water of the moonstone, we've got the earth, and I don't know, I guess the quartz would that be, it feels more water. Anyway, doesn't matter. So you get what they're saying though, right? Like, it says turkey was the medicine of many saints and mystics. Celebrate if you have turkey medicine. Your virtues are many. You have transcended self. You act and react on the behalf of others. You aspire to help those who need help. This is not out of some sense of self-righteous moralism or religious guilt. Help and sustenance are given by turkey out of the realization that all life is sacred. It is knowing that the Great Spirit resides within all people. It is acknowledgement that what you do for others, you do for yourself. Turkey medicine rests in true ego and enlightenment, doing unto others and feeding the people. This is interesting. Is the message of all true spiritual systems. Depending on how turkey is aspected in your reading, you are being given a gift. This gift could be spiritual, material, or even intellectual. The gift may be great or small, but it is never insignificant. Congratulations, you have just won the lottery. Or the gift may be a beautiful sunset or the smell of a fragrant flower. On the other hand, you may feel the quote-unquote spirit of giving and growing within you and wanting you to share with others. So that is our medicine today, you guys. I look forward to this picker reading. I hope you look forward to it as well. There are going to be more decks involved. I do know that. I don't know if it's more just one or more than one, but there is definitely, I felt that from Spirit that there are going to be very in-depth readings. And like I said, I'm not sure right now. We're in celebration and blessings, but the next moon phase is waning gibbous, and that's reflect and release. Also, today is the 5th moon phase. New moons are about change or full moons are about change and transformation. So what do you need to release, and what is your wish? When you wish upon a star, right? So make a wish, release all of that which you need to let go of, and wish upon a star about what you want to bring into your reality now. Until then, you guys, I love you so much. Spirit loves you. Take good care of yourselves and each other. Blessed be. Aho. Bye. And not at the expense